Hey guys, have you ever wondered why dating seems to be like a Russian roulette? You date a person, you try to see if you're compatible, then you see you're not and you move on to the next, hoping that one day it will be Mr. Right and you will live happily ever after. More or less that's the education that has been given to us. And I have always wondered what are some of the things we can do to make it less of a Russian roulette and more of um, a choice, and also protect your heart while dating, while searching for the one. The reason why I feel we need to protect our hearts a little bit is because we see that since the sexual liberation, we have, about 75 years have passed since the sexual liberation of the 60s. And on one hand, we are being told as long as you're an adult, as long as you're two consenting adults, you can do whatever you want. If you're not looking for a relationship, you're single, you can do whatever you want. And the consequences seem to be not very tangible. So I dove into some research to see, are there consequences and what happens? Why do so many relationship coaches advise you to hold off on sex, intimacy, kissing, and relationship until you know a person? Well, what we can see is that the more partners we have, um, research shows that certain things happen. We are less likely to be happy once we get married. I have to check my notes. The other one is we are less likely to have a stable marriage if we have had multiple partners. And we are more likely to be depressed. So these are just a few of the consequences. The divorce rates are higher. So it seems that having sex with multiple people comes at a price. And why do people sometimes even connect a time frame to waiting to get intimate with a date? Some people say it's 3 months, wait 3 months. What happens after these magical 3 months? Is it just to show that you are a good girl? And then you can just go and do your thing? Um, yeah, I've dove into this, and what I found was that yes, it seems to be a very good idea to hold off on intimacy if you want to increase the chances of protecting yourself, protecting your heart, and be a happier person once you meet your Mr. Right, you or Mrs. Right, and you will have a happier relationship, a happier marriage, and the chances of you staying together are much higher. The other flip side of the coin is that if you do get intimate very quickly with multiple people, then we see that 80% of the women feel more lonely, more stressed, and have more higher anxiety when they have sex with someone who is not in a stable relationship with them. And with guys, it's 70% who feel like this. So, although the consequences are not directly tangible, there are a lot of indirect consequences and long-term consequences. We also see that we are getting worse and worse at being able to maintain relationships. In 2030, 1 in 2 people under 30 will not be in a relationship. So what was promised to us in the sexual liberation is ultimate freedom, ultimate experiences, and experience is good, right? So if you are very experienced, you've had a lot of partners, you will be a great lover. And the data says no. Most people have also experienced in real life that it's not always like that. And yes, I think you can be technically experienced and have a better technique than someone who has not. But technique is not everything that comprises a great experienced sex life. So, what are the factors? I feel like we have a lot of conflicting messages about sex. On one hand, we say you can do it whatever you want with whomever you want, as long as there's consent, there's safe sex, and yeah, you protect yourself. But on the other hand, oh yeah, and then you can just you don't have to be committed to each other. There's a lot of freedom, and on one hand, of course, there's a positive side to it, that you can definitely have physical pleasure if you have casual sex. There's no doubt about it. And even maybe mental pleasure by what you have accomplished and what you like about this person's body, etc., etc. On the other hand, we see that sex and intimacy does have a big impact on your mental well-being. For example, if someone has sex against their will, we know the consequences are huge. It is even used as a war weapon, where sometimes the women are raped in order to completely destabilize the community where they use it. I'm not saying that that is sex, that is rape. I'm just saying that the act of having sex with someone can leave deep wounds, can leave deep scars, and also give pleasure. And what we see a lot in people who do it for a profession, like prostitutes, we see that many of them do not want to kiss. And so this means that kissing is very intimate for most people. And on the other hand, we have the message we can kiss someone after the first date. It's nothing, it's just one step above a hug. So there are a lot of conflicting messages, in my opinion. And what I see is that after a lot of deep diving into this subject is what happens if you wait? What happens if you postpone? What happens if you delay? The thing that happens is that there's time to build trust, to get to know someone's character, to have a way of looking at the other person without rose-colored glasses. And what happens in the other case, that when you kiss someone right after the first date and you have sex on the second, third, fourth date, that what happens is some kind of chemical bond is created, it's manufactured, which creates the illusion of intimacy, trust, and familiarity. I'm Dutch, as you can see by the tulips, so some words in English I trample over. Yeah, so I feel like it's a matter of doing things in the right order. Normally it takes about 200 hours before you consider someone as a friend. And what we do now is, after a date that lasts maybe 2 or 3 hours, we decide to be very intimate by kissing someone. And yeah, it creates a lot of hormones in our bodies. It creates oxytocin, it creates a whole cocktail of bonding hormones. And then it can also backfire, like you had a great date, you had a great kiss, everything was like perfect, and then the next day you don't feel it. You're like, okay, why don't I feel this enthusiasm anymore? And I feel like that's because it's a manufactured sense of belonging to each other, creating intimacy. That's not there. That has not been proven. It has not been tested. And I feel like if we use kissing and sex more like the confirmation of what has already been built, then we can, it feels much better, it feels much more natural. And one of the things that we are told a lot is that lust will bring us so much pleasure and it will bring us so much happiness. And in reality, we see that lust doesn't bring those things in the long run. It's just like eating a cookie. It's like a high dopamine and then you crash. And then you have to chase it again. So what I would say, why many people are advising take your time, build a friendship, is to first build the trust. First see if you are compatible, and then you can do it without your nervous system already interfering. Your nervous system has already, if you have kissed and have had intimacy, your nervous system already thinks that this has already happened, that this has already been established, especially in women. And then you can get very surprised that the moment your trust is tested, if it is tested, if he is consistent or she is consistent, and you find out they are not trustworthy, they are not consistent, maybe they are not ready for a relationship, you find out right after, then it can be a huge shock on the system. Because your whole nervous system has gotten the message, yes, we are close, we are very intimate, we have done all these things, we have touched each other. The whole cocktail of hormones has already been released in your body, and then it can really damage your trust, it can really damage your system of bonding, because the next time you do this with someone, mechanisms will be put into place so you don't get hurt like this all the time. And then it can be true that yes, kissing is nothing anymore, and having intimacy is nothing anymore. But that's not a good thing. It means things have been repressed in order to protect your heart, in order to protect your bonding mechanism. And if you get really good at it, by practicing this a lot and having a lot of trial and error in this way, then it will be very hard in the end to have a good marriage, to be happy with what you have, and to not get divorced, and also not get entangled with someone who is not meant for you. I feel like if we would start with friendship for a few months, then so many things would get clear, and we would not feel bonded to the people who we find out that they are not right for us. They are not even ready for a relationship, or they have completely different values. But our sense of determining this is clouded when we get intimate too soon, and then it will backfire, or it can backfire on us, and it can really cloud our judgment. So if you are in a pattern of why do I always attract the wrong guys, and you are a person who goes from 0 to 100 in a week, and you feel like I'm totally giving my all, then maybe that is the problem. And maybe it is okay for you to protect your heart more and find out, maybe you have an anxious attachment. If you are not familiar with this, I would definitely advise you to find out the attachment styles and an anxious attachment person. The most common attachment pattern is anxious with avoidance. So an anxious will mostly try to bond the other person as soon as they can, because it will give them a sense of relief. And often if they meet an avoidant, then they have a lot of work to do, and they can really show all their tricks up their sleeve to make this person bond with them. And if you're a woman, it's very easy to try and see if a guy can be bonded to you by giving him your body and your intimacy. And I'm not saying in any way that guys are more sexual than women. I feel like women are just as sexual, maybe even more than men. But it's a good idea for men and women to protect their hearts. And this way, guys can just get to know a woman and also keep their respect for women much higher. Because right now, a guy doesn't have to level up, a guy doesn't have to really step up and show who he is, which is good for a guy. It's good to show his potential and to reach his potential. And the way we are treating sex right now is that there's nothing to be proven anymore. There's nothing. There's just following lust and following quick dopamine rushes, and it doesn't seem to work very well. Let me check what I still want to say. Yeah, if you are a person who rushes into love a lot, then it's very likely that you did not do it because you really were attracted to the person, or let me say, yeah, you were attracted physically, but not to the person as a whole, because you don't know who someone is after a few dates. And then it seems like you feel like, okay, I was really into him and now he's gone all of a sudden. But the chances are much more likely that you were not really into him, but you were bonded to him or her by a chemical cocktail of hormones. And just some practical tips to end with. I would say if you want to really date for marriage and date for stability, protect your heart and have a life of depth, loyalty, a strong marriage and a long-lasting family life, then I would say if you date, please do it in a public environment. And don't rely on self-discipline in this case, because we are all human. We feel lust, we feel curiosity about the other person in a very quick way, mostly, maybe after a few hours. And just to protect yourself, just meet in public places, get to know each other. If you are in a house, then it's very intimate already. And so I'm all for being transparent, dating in a very transparent way. And yeah, please show your heart to a guy. If you like him, tell him you like him. But also build the trust in a logical way. So if you are messaging him and he's messaging back in a nice and quick way, then message him again. If he doesn't, then wait. And if nothing happened, then just let it go. There's nothing wrong with going like this. Instead of, just look at your text messages, open them, and do you see messages like this to him or her? And do you get a message like this back? Then you are probably over invested. So just take your time, meet in a public place and find out if you, let me see. Yeah, if you feel that there is safety, you feel you can have emotional safety with the man, that he is consistent and that you genuinely like this person.